Hello again, friends. Ed Harold here with you. Welcome to another Life with Breath Expert Series. Today we have an amazing human being on the program. I'm really happy to have her on, and we're going to learn a lot about life and business and peaks and valleys and sustainable success from the amazing Erin Sykes. To begin with, if we could just sit quietly for a few moments and just center ourselves in the body, just gently placing your feet down onto Mother Earth, letting your spine become erect and relaxing the features of your face, becoming aware of your breath, and begin to breathe slower than you normally do on your inhale, and just nurture your belly, nurture the gut brain on that inhale. And then exhale a little slower than you normally do, but do it through your nose. Now begin to find a rhythm to your breath. And notice that rhythm is linked to your heartbeat and the pace of your mind. See if you can let go of any external pressure that might be present in your life, and tune into the inner signals of linking the mind with the body with a slow motion breath. Sometimes it's called diaphragmatic breathing, or belly breathing, or the three-part breath, or Durga or Dirga. Doesn't matter what you call it. Slow it down and just breathe into your beautiful body. And as you breathe into your body, notice this is your temple. And a healthy body will lead to a healthy mind and a healthy sense of self. If you're familiar with the ocean sounding breath from the yoga systems, valve the air through the top of the throat and drop deeper into your mind. And when the inhale is complete, hold the breath in for a 2 count. And when the exhale is complete, hold the breath out for a 2 count. And try this for the next several rounds of breath in your life and see what happens. Keep slowing down. If life's a race, it's a race you want to come in last, ladies and gentlemen. This is really easy for you. Maybe you hold the breath in for a 4 count and hold it out for a 2 count. Ocean sounding breath in your throat. Stabilize your mind and body. Last round. And as you come out of this round, let your body breathe on its own based on the genius of your autonomic nervous system, creating autonomic balance. Sense the flow of thought to your brain, and that's there to help us be in peak performance as our neurotransmitters begin to animate the mind. And know that there's nothing that you cannot achieve, and the best days of your life are in front of you, not behind you, or you wouldn't be watching us here today. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth with a sigh, and we can begin. What a day, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a special guest with us, and I thought about bringing Erin in with my Body Mind Business book and how the body plays such a huge role in regard to how it feeds the mind in all business ventures. And the body is super intelligent. And I had a friend of mine from my hometown, Erin Sykes, who in her own way is creating a whole new way for us to utilize both the Western arts of performance and the Eastern arts of stabilizing the mind and body and being super efficient with the energy that we have. So Erin is a successful entrepreneur, familiar with the challenges of balancing life and work. And how does she do it? She has a background in yoga and the health sciences. Erin lives a lifestyle infused with daily rituals and self-care practices. And today, Erin's going to share what works for her. Erin's a licensed real estate broker in Florida and New York with Nest Seekers and chief economics with Lead AP. Erin Sykes' perseverance and ability to anticipate trends are what have driven her to success. Erin strives to help clients reach their unique goals with discreet, individualized attention and action orientation. With a background in commercial and luxury real estate construction at her family's 120-year-old firm and certification as a lead AP and new construction, Erin understands how to optimize new development and intricate renovation using sustainable materials and methodology. As chief economics for Nest Seekers International, Erin is responsible for developing and translating real estate trends data into consumer and industry insights. She reports on monthly housing starts, new developments, rate changes, and general industry trends for all major news outlets. Erin is often interviewed by Fox Business, CNBC, Today, CNN, NBC Nightly News, The Real Deal, Bloomberg, Manson Global, Forbes, Bloomberg, TechCrunch Inc., Mashable. She holds an MBA from Pepperdine University and a bachelor's in finance and international business from the Villanova Wildcats. Erin resides in Florida and New York City. Erin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Well, as someone who's been on the sidelines watching you from a young lady grow into what's going on today, I'm very proud to say you're one of my friends.
Well, we come from an amazing area in New Jersey. You and I both grew up in the same area, as you mentioned. And I think that the environment there or the atmosphere there, it really prepares us later in life. Everybody is super into sports and the ocean and very active and challenged from a young age. And I'm glad to see that we're both still involved.
Yeah, we care deeply about the human experience. We care about human beings, and we really want to be that helping hand for folks, whether it's personal or whether it's business. Your family has been friends with my family for generations. And boy, the stories, we can't tell the stories on this podcast because it's PG-13. But I mean, gosh, your parents are just two of the greatest people that God had ever created. And I feel so honored to have been able to share so many running races and outdoor activities and charity events with your parents. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I remember you as, a young athlete in Atlantic City High School. Is that correct?
I went to Holy Spirit, but I grew up in Longport and went through Margate schools as well.
And then you went off to Villanova, which is an amazing place to get an education. How was that?
Amazing. I mean, Villanova, I think, most people just know the basketball team outside of the East Coast, or at least when I went there, it was really an East Coast focused school. And then as we continued to succeed in basketball, it became really a nationally known school. And one of the greatest claims to fame is Jay Wright, who is the basketball coach, who not only coaches, the physicality of basketball, but he does a lot of mental health work with the students and is very focused on them being successful academically as well. And I know for a fact that he takes the athletes regularly to Bikram yoga classes and, in addition to everything that they're already doing on the court. So he's super proactive. And I always thought that's a great example of what a Villanovan is, because it's somebody who believes in that triangle of life, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual as well.
I know that you're very familiar with the Eastern arts, the yoga, the meditation, bringing that in the Western exercise. How did you get turned on to the Eastern arts?
It was really to rehab. It began with the physical and to rehab injuries that I had from rowing. I rowed crew for 20 years, and about halfway through that career, I had a lot of back and neck pain, and that's when I started practicing yoga, and then the yoga evolved to meditation, and that evolved to an interest in further arts as well.
Isn't it amazing? When we first dive into yoga, it's probably the last resort. We've tried all sorts of other ways to try to heal our body. And then there's this therapeutic application of this yoga stuff. And you start it and you're like, oh my God, why haven't I been doing this my whole life?
Well, I think that that's something that's evolved since, you and I grew up. Now it is prominent in young children's either scholastic as part of gym class, or when they are playing sports. I think there is some type of attention, maybe not fully yet, and there's still room for growth there. But I think that parents and coaches and academics are starting to pay more attention to yoga and meditation for children.
Yeah, I've been blessed to run a program with Mind Up. It's Goldie Hawn's baby, and she has, a worldwide outreach for youngsters between the ages of 5 and 12, the teachers and the parents. So I'm really psyched to bring breath work and mindful movement and meditation to the Mind Up program, because the next generation of kids, with everything that's going on in the world, really needs to have some structure and try, and understanding how the brain works, how emotions work, and how we can interact at a young age with positive self-esteem in these challenging times.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I haven't heard of that, but I have to follow up and look at it.
It's been great. Goldie's great, and she really cares about the kids. It's really palpable when you speak with her about it. She's a force just like you. When you guys get your mind on something, that male willpower comes through, and it's like, look out, world! I cannot be stopped. I love it. Now,
Excellent.
when I was a kid, I used to watch your mom and dad run by my house, my parents' house, to get up on the boardwalk, and they would be going on these runs. I mean, I'd see them. They'd start at 8 o'clock in the morning, go up on the boardwalk, and they'd come back down around noon. And I mean, they were moving pretty good too. So you must have that same type of drive that your parents have for excellence.
Yeah, well, I think it's an amazing thing to have them both as role models growing up, because, yes, every single Sunday for the entire childhood that I have memory of, they would run 20 miles together every Sunday. So that was kind of like not a date night, but a date day for them. So it was a really amazing thing to see how they formed that bond, and also, made an effort to really put health and wellness front of mind for us as children as well.
Yeah, because your dad was the principal at Sykes Roofing and Sheet Metal, and all of a sudden he'd come by, and all of a sudden the trucks had Team Sykes on the side, on the shingle on the side. And what's this Team Sykes thing? And he was all about community, which was so great, and getting community through sports. It's so needed as we come out of the COVID situation.
No, I think that that's something that suffered for everyone, particularly kids that are used to being involved in sports, and to have those things shut down for a year and a half, depending on what area of the country you're in. I think it takes a major mental blow to children and to adults who also wanted to see the success of their children in the sports, because they know how it pays off in a long term manner, not just in the immediate with little league games.
Right. We all need each other. And this separation that we've gone through, sports is a great way to bring people back together and just find some common sense to the challenges that we're all moving through.
Absolutely. I think that, we're pretty much desperate for that as a society now.
Yeah, and we're going to come out of this better and stronger than I think a lot of us can even imagine. Now, you've got a pretty amazing yoga practice. I know that you started a company that was kind of ahead of its time. It was creating online programming, and you surrounded yourself with some great folks that were providing, yoga classes and meditation classes and breathing classes and coaching and all sorts of different things. What made you get involved in the self-care mode like that in the technology space?
Well, I mean, I saw opportunity because of my experience in traveling often. I mean, sorry, I'm sitting on the floor of an airport right now, but it was really necessary to be able to bring my practice on the road. And that's what started, that was the impetus for Mission 360. But like you said, it was a little bit early. It was when I said streaming fitness, nobody was there
Mm,
yet. This is pre Peloton, pre Mirror,
right.
even really pre YouTube Live. So we broke a lot of barriers. We had a great network of instructors, of mental, physical, and spiritual instructors, yourself included. And I think even though it wasn't the dynamic, financial success that I was hoping that it was going to be, I think we did pave the way for a lot of other companies down the line.
Yeah, we're part of that foundation that's so important anytime we're changing a new paradigm. A lot of the programming that you were putting out there was simply it was programming that you couldn't get without going to a brick and mortar place or a physical location. And folks, as a culture, I don't think we're really ready to turn on these computers and become familiar with how to really interact with the great offerings that you were putting out there.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of pre-pandemic. Nobody really knew what to do with it, and now we've been so accustomed to the convenience of at-home physical and mental training that it's a whole different story now.
So you're transitioning now, and I find you on this amazing journey in the real estate field. And the real estate field is, I mean, these are some big waves there, and there's big fish and sharks, and it's a lot. There's a lot going on in the real estate field. Tell us how you got involved in what you're doing right now.
It was an evolution from
Right.
my father's construction company. And I had always taken an interest in there, and I worked there for some time, but it was also opportunistic. It was the right time in the market for Florida and for New York, and to really balance those two waves of migration out of New York into Florida and now back into New York. So I could kind of play both sides of the coin. So it became, just I saw opportunity, and it was something I was passionate about. And, I think when you have those two things combined, the stars align for you.
Yeah, you are a brilliant person. When I look at the newsletters that you send out once a month, I get so much from those newsletters. There's so much substance there, and I can't thank you enough for putting those out there because it keeps everybody tuned in to what's going on nationally and internationally in the real estate field.
Absolutely. I appreciate that because they take a lot of time and effort. And I'm glad to know that you're reading them. And, the other people that I've gotten great feedback from as well, who are also reading the newsletters, I try to make it so it's technical, but it's also digestible.
Yeah, my wife Wendy and I do our newsletter. Wendy does the majority of the work, and we've had a newsletter go out for about 15 years now. And it's a lot of work, and to really make it concise and deliver your message in a way that's super easy to understand. So it's a little bit of a dance, but once you find your voice, so to speak, and how you want to deliver your data and the research that you've done, it really is quite fulfilling when you do send out a great newsletter.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I saw you on TV a few times or many times, and I love watching you on TV. Your communication skills are so evolved, and it's very, very easy to understand for the listener. Now, I think that you can take things that are super complex and people want to have them simplified. And I don't think people understand that's almost like an art form, to be able to take complex research and data and to be able to regurgitate that out to the masses in the country in a way that we can all understand extremely clearly what you're trying to say. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it started with the retail and kind of tech side, and now it's evolved into real estate. And I think that real estate in particular is always so interesting to the general public because everybody in some shape or form um, is sorry, just making sure it wasn't my flight, but everybody is involved in real estate. Everybody lives somewhere. So, and you have a million different reality shows based on fixer-uppers or, multi-million-dollar homes. And it's actually quite a voyeuristic industry. Everybody loves to get more insight, even if it really doesn't apply to them in the immediate. It's something that is either aspirational or it involves creativity in terms of fixer-uppers. So I think that real estate has been a really great evolution in terms of the media angle of my career because there is that natural inquisitiveness by the viewer.
So you see a pretty wide field. I mean, you're super aware. You need to be super aware with the clients that you're predominantly working with. That's in the external world, and that's great. But for that to occur, there's got to be some congruency between the heart and your brain in regard to how you navigate your internal guides and how you feel about things intuitively and what you choose to place attention to in your mind. What's your daily routine look like in regard to your self-care?
It changes, and I think I could do a better job in terms of consistency. I think that's where, I need to work the most on myself. But as we mentioned before, I love yoga, and I'm able to combine a lot of that breathing and mental with the physical because, I think the chief number one complaint among people anywhere is I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to do any of these things. So for me, that's why I like the yoga because you can get some amount of both in one, but it does not fully cover all the bases. It's an angle. It's an opportunity to do something, but I think there's always a little bit more you can do, and that's what I'd like to focus on in terms of getting more regimen in my life and in terms of the meditation.
But the big thing we hear across platforms is I don't have the time. I don't have the time, and that's just where we are as a culture. When we look at how we take care of ourselves, predominantly there's four ways we do it. We do cardio, we do strength, we do flexibility, and we do meditation. One of the things that I found that makes me super efficient with time, in other words, I don't need a lot of time to remove toxicity and create vitality in my mind and body, is the breath control. When you bring breath control in whatever form of exercise you're doing, whether it's the Eastern arts or the Western training models, as soon as you add breath control to it, you become super efficient physically and mentally in doing what you need to do to get yourself back into balance.
And I love that. I love the efficiency and the effectiveness of that.
Yeah, it'd be hard for us to do what we do without being efficient energetically, or we'd be sleeping 20 hours a day. So, we have to find ways to be efficient. And folks have to understand, you can sit in this chair right here, and with breath control, you can turn this chair into a gym so that you can break up stressors before they break you up. So you can keep in flow with sunrise to sunset and still get a great night's sleep. So for me, the breath control is just so important for everything that I'm doing, whether it be business or whether it be my self-care routine.
And you're the best advocate for that. I mean, I think that what you're able to achieve with, golfers and high school and college aged athletes and really bringing that top of mind for them has been super dynamic.
So let's talk about a dirty little word, the word called stress. We're surrounded by it. We create it a lot of times for ourselves. Well, I see folks that need to be in stress and be stimulated for them to actually pay attention. In the field that you're in and the dynamics that you're growing in, do you have any tips for folks in regard to managing the stressors in their life?
I mean, I think that there's things that need to be done immediately, and then there are things that are not necessarily immediate needs. And I think really starting to understand what those two things are is a good first step, because I think that personally, I tend to think that everything is an immediate need, and I don't set naturally. I don't set boundaries, and I try to get everything done and always have a clean, slate or email or inbox, whatever. But I think that as I get older and I experience more things, I pick and choose what needs urgency and what can take a minute, and that's to protect my personal, bandwidth and mental health.
I see you on these national television shows, and it has to be stressful prior to when they say go. Is there any tips you do because you look cool as a cucumber and everything looks great on TV, but I know inside there's got to be that South Jersey stirring in the belly, that I got to get it right. Is there any tips you do to really get that mind locked into what your message is before you go on national TV?
Breathing is super key. That's when, if I do feel like heart palpitations and I'm nervous about something, I try to calm down my breath and regulate. And then I think this was a takeaway from one of the U.S. Gymnasts in one of the Olympics. One of them said before she performs, what she always does is says, you got this. And that's my mental kind of mantra to myself is, you've got this. And I say that to myself before every single segment.
That's a great mantra. There's a lot of positivity in there. There's also the ability to say that no matter what comes my way, I'm going to be able to handle it at a level that I'm accustomed to, which is a high level of success. So bravo, keeping things simple where the mind wants to make things complex is something we really need today.
Absolutely. I think that's a key to so many things is boiling down and breaking things into digestible components.
So what's next for you in this upcoming fall that we're moving into?
So I'm currently I'm at home in Atlantic City right now, and I'm heading down to Florida to really ramp up for our big season. So the Florida real estate market is, primarily about 6 months a year is our high season, or just social season as well. So going back down there to focus on that, and the holidays are coming up, which I love. So I just hope to do some Christmassy things and get back up to New York to see maybe the Thanksgiving parade and stuff like that. So really just a couple items going on, but putting myself into each full throttle.
Is there any tips you can give folks before we separate that really helps you balance that work-life experience?
I mean, I think that, and it sounds cliche, but the ability, there's no mistakes. If the only mistake is when you don't learn from something. So I've had plenty and plenty of failures in my life. I do take great pride that I had strong resilience and tried again and always learned something along the way, so that to me, they're not failures. They're just stepping stones.
Well, I'm certainly proud of you and everything that you're doing to make life a little bit better for everybody on the planet. When I get around you and I watch you interact with people, the eye contact, the body language, you make folks think that they're the only person on earth. And it's just such a unique way to find value in every moment of our life. And it's almost becoming a lost art form that we can be present like that.
Yeah, I think that a big problem that we're dealing with as a society now is multitasking, and that comes in the form of things like texting and driving. That is really problematic and dangerous, but also not engaging with people fully when you have the opportunity to do so.
Well, thank you so much for just taking a little bit of time to share it with Ed Harold and our audience here today, Erin. I really appreciate you. I really enjoy watching your success from afar. When you come out to Utah to ski, make sure you look us up and we can get some runs in. Say hi to your mom, and I wish you every success this fall, my love.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ed.
Bye-bye, honey.
Bye.
Oh, that was great.